Welcome back, boys and girls. And some of you asked me to do a review on M1 Garand. Well, I couldn't get my hand on M1 Garand, but I got my hands on next best thing, and that's M14. So let's talk about the M14 really quick. Now, as many of you know, M1 Garand was a game changer in World War II, and the reason why M1 was so superior to other rifles was that it was semi-automatic, and you could chamber 8 rounds, and you could shoot out to 600-700 yards away. And as expected, people fell in love with M1 Garand. Now, even though people loved M1 Garand, there were a few complaints from the soldiers, and the M14 was born to satisfy those complaints. So let's talk about it. The first is the capacity. Now, M1 Garand holds 8 rounds, whereas M14 holds 20 rounds in detachable box magazine. So it'll be faster to reload. Back in those days, military had different rifles, so different ammunitions. And they wanted to unite with one ammunition, and that's 7.62. And they were hoping that M14 can replace all the service rifles, including full automatic and semi-automatic. So this M14 was originally created as a full automatic with selection to shoot semi-automatic as well. And the third was M1 Garand was too heavy, so they came with M14. So this rifle is about half pound lighter. And the next M1 Garand was a little bit too long, so they decided to come with M14, which was a little bit shorter, but with a flash suppressor, this actually became a little bit longer. Now, with those changes, was M14 very successful? Well, not really. Let's talk about it. Well, let's talk about the magazine first. Now, 20 round magazine was a great idea. Only problem is, for different sizes of soldiers, this magazine was getting in the way of them shooting and trying to stay low. Now, second, in full automatic, recoil was way too much for soldiers to control. Even with the flash suppressor, if you look at it, you can see the opening all around except for the bottom. And this was to reduce the recoil. But even with this, the recoil was uncontrollable in full automatic. So eventually, they removed the function of full automatic and picked this rifle into a semi-automatic. And the next, with 20 round magazine, it was a lot heavier, so reducing half pound didn't help. It actually got heavier with the magazine. And again, it didn't get shorter, it actually got longer. So the M14 was really put into task in Vietnam War, and as you expected, this didn't do too well. Now, in Vietnam, they didn't have to shoot 600-700 yards away, and the gun was way too long, and it was way too heavy, and fighting the jungles and going through the tunnels, this was not very successful. Now, that was the reason why M14 was made to replace M1 Garand, but really didn't stay in production for a very long time. Okay, this M14 belongs to Mr. Lee in our gun club, and I want to thank Mr. Lee for letting me review his rifle and 40 rounds of ammunition. Thank you, Mr. Lee. Now, this M14 is by Federal Ordnance, and he bought this rifle in slightly used condition for $1,000 with a scope, with a Picatinny reel, and a sling, and a bite pod. So that was a hell of a deal, but he liked to shoot it without the scope. So I'm gonna do the same, but with a recoil pad. Metal. Well, let's go out and have some fun. Okay, today is really hot. It's like 95, 96, but I'm out here to have some fun. Okay, let's see how easy it is. Now with M14, you gotta plug in the front into a little hole and then click it backwards. And this gets a little tricky. Alright, let's take the first shot. Okay, I have target out at 50 yards. And I'm going to take 5 shots and see the group. Okay, the trigger does have some pre-travel, but once it hits the wall, it's nice and clean. And the recoil wasn't too bad. Of course, I have a recoil pad. Okay, I think I know where to hold. Yep, I know where to hold. Okay, my last 3 shot is about an inch groove, and it's not bad at all. Now last 5 shots, maybe about 2.5 inches, very impressive. Alright, I'm actually very impressed with this M14. I could see this is better than M1 Garand. Okay, first shot was hitting here, and then adjustment, and then adjustment. So this is last 5 shot group, so that's very impressive. Okay, this is at 100 yards, and that there 15-inch target. Alright, let's give it a shot. Okay, it was shooting way low to the right, so I did make a little bit of adjustment. Alright, I think I know where to hold. 네, 어디에 영점인지 알 것 같아요. Alright, 2 for 2, 2개 다 맞았죠? Alright, 3 for 3. Alright, I think I know where to hold. 네, 어디 영점인지 알 것 같아요. Alright, 2 for 2, 2개 다 맞았죠? Alright, 3 for 3. Okay, let's see if I can hit 5 times. 1. Missed. 2. Bingo. Okay, so they said biggest problem with M14 was the recoil. Of course, that was in full automatic, but I'm gonna check with semi-automatic. I'm gonna squeeze it up as fast as I can. Between those two steel targets, there's a bunch of clay pits in there. I'm gonna shoot it into the dirt, and I have 10 rounds in there or 11. I'm gonna squeeze it up as fast as I can and see if I can control the muzzle. And yes, I have a recoil pad. Make it ready. Ready. Stand by. Well, the recoil was there, but it wasn't too bad at all. I was able to keep it in the general area, but that went out really fast. I like it. For M14, I shot 11 rounds in 3.16 seconds. Now I could see why M14 is an upgrade from M1 Garand. From 36 to 308, this does have a softer recoil. Ammunition is lighter. And in full automatic, I think it's awesome. But even semi-automatic is great. But having a 20 round detachable box magazine, I think that's a real plus. So if I had to pick one, I would actually go with M14. But obviously, for a foot soldier to carry this with all this ammunition, it's a punishment. So next was M16. So I'm gonna compare with AI-15. Okay, here's my AI-15. I tell you, this is a lot lighter and everything's more compact, more functional, less gunpowder, but plenty for foot soldiers. All right, let's see how she shoots. Make it ready. Ready. Stand by. Make it safe. Safe. Well, that was fast. That was 14 rounds in 3.49 seconds. Now, honestly, time-wise, there's not a big difference, but I was able to control the muzzle much better. And for the full soldiers, this is so much lighter and easier to carry. So upgrading from M14 to M16 was a great idea.